Now the branches of the subclavian artery. The first important branch, it is the vertebral artery. This vertebral artery, this is the vertebral artery. It is the largest branch of the first part of the subclavian artery. This vertebral artery is divided into the four parts: first, second, third, and the four parts. This first part of the subclavian artery is present in the scapulovertebral triangle. This is the scapulovertebral triangle. The base of the triangle, we have discussed earlier that the base is formed by the first part of the subclavian artery. This is the apex. It is formed by transverse process of the sixth cervical vertebra. Now, this is the lateral boundary and this is the medial boundary. Laterally, there is a muscles. This muscles is the scalenus anterior muscle, and the medially it is the oblique part of the longus colli muscles. Longus colli that forms the oblique part of this scapulovertebral triangle. Now, the apex. Discuss apex. It is a transverse process of the C6. Roof. The roof of this triangle is formed by the carotid sheath along with the structures present in the carotid sheath that comes in the relation of the first part of the subclavian artery also. And the floor of this triangle is formed by the transverse process of the seventh cervical vertebra. It is the lower trunk of the brachial plexus, that is the C8, and that is the neck of the first tree. These three structures forms the floor of this triangle. Now, what is the importance of this scapulovertebral triangle? This is the most deepest structures in the root of the neck. This scapulovertebral triangle contains the first part of the vertebral artery. Along with it is the inferior cervical sympathetic ganglion, that is occasionally also known as the stellate ganglion, is present in this triangle. At the apex of the triangle, it is the middle cervical sympathetic ganglion, and there is a nerve loop that connects this in middle cervical sympathetic ganglion with the stellate ganglion. This is known as the ansa subclavia that forms the loop on the first part of the subclavian artery. It comes posterior, then below, then anterior, and connects these two ganglion. And this nerve loop is known as the ansa subclavia. So, this is about the scapulovertebral triangle. Now, the vertebral artery. This vertebral artery. This artery, one of the chief arteries that supply the brain. Particularly the posterior cranial fossa region and the cerebellum region. This artery divided into the four parts. The first part extend from the origin of this artery up to the foramen transversarium of the sixth cervical vertebra. One point is important. Generally, most commonly, it not passes through the foramen transversarium of the C7. This is the C7. It generally passes through the sixth cervical vertebra, foramen transversarium. So, from here to here, this is the first part. Now, the second part, it runs vertically upwards, and it is from the foramen transversarium of the C6 up to the foramen transversarium of the atlas vertebra. This is the second part of the vertebral artery. Then the third part. This artery comes out from the foramen transversarium of the atlas vertebra. It comes in the relation posteriorly with the lateral mass of the atlas vertebra. It runs on the upper surface. It forms the groove on the upper surface posterior arch of the atlas. It is separated from the bone by the dorsal ramus of the C1. It is the dorsal ramus of the C1 which passes between the artery and the bone. Now the third part. This third part is present in the suboccipital triangle. It extends from this foramen up to the foramen magnum. This is the third part. Then it enters the cranial cavity through this foramen magnum, and the fourth part begins from the foramen magnum to the lower border of the pons. At the lower border of the pons, two vertebral artery of the both sides unite and they forms the basilar artery. These vertebral artery of the both sides unite and it forms the basilar artery. In brief of the vertebral artery. First part, second part, third part and the fourth part. These are the four parts in this diagram. The first part, from the origin to the foramen transversarium of the sixth cervical vertebra. Branches, this part gives no branch. Then the second part, from the foramen transversarium of the sixth cervical vertebra up to the foramen transversarium of the first cervical vertebra. Here is the important relations. As it passes from the foramen transversarium of the axis to the atlas, it runs laterally and forms the convexity that is directed on the lateral side. The second part gives the spinal branches. It is the spinal artery. This spinal artery enters the vertebral canal through the intervertebral foramen and supply the spinal cord. Now the third part, this part begins from the foramen transversarium of the atlas vertebra up to the margin of the foramen magnum. The third part is present in the suboccipital triangle. The third part rests on the upper surface of the posterior arch of the first cervical vertebra, and these two structures are separated by the dorsal ramus of the first cervical nerve. This branch, third part, gives the muscular branches. Muscular branches that supply the muscles which forms the boundary of the suboccipital triangle. Now the fourth part, it begins from the foramen magnum up to the lower border of the pons. Then these two arteries of the both sides unites to form the basilar artery. The fourth part gives the following branches. It will be discussed in the class of the brain also. They are the only name to be remembered. These are the meningeal branches that supply the meninges. This artery enters by piercing the folds of the meninges in the cranial cavity. So it gives the meningeal branch. It gives the anterior spinal artery. It gives the posterior spinal artery. Then it supplies the medulla, that is the medullary artery, and it supplies the cerebellum, that is the posterior inferior cerebellar artery. These are the arteries given by this vertebral artery inside the cranial cavity by its fourth part. Now there is a term that is the subclavian Still syndrome. Subclavian Still syndrome. In this diagram, this is the arch of the aorta and there are three branches: brachiocephalic, left common carotid and the left subclavian artery. Now from this subclavian artery, this artery is vertebral artery that joins to form the BA, that is the basilar artery. Now in any case there is an occlusion, obstruction, thrombosis of the proximal to the origin of the vertebral artery in the subclavian artery. Means if obstruction occurs in the subclavian artery proximal to the origin of this vertebral artery, then what happens? It will hampers the blood supply of the upper limb In such condition, this vertebral artery stole the some amount of the blood from the other side of the artery, and the blood will flow from this with this direction and supply the upper limb. So some amount of the blood that goes to the brain is stolen by the vertebral artery of the opposite side. That is why it is known as the subclavian syndrome, and it will affect ischemic effect on the blood supply of the brain.